Welcome to another episode of Beyond Sunday, where we keep it real with faith in life, because as you know, life be lifing. And as we always do, we do it with myself, Julian Luke, and Pastor Thomas. Now, we do have a guest today, and today's guest has been dominating the game for over 14 years. She's a registered dietitian, a certified diabetes care and educational specialist, and board certified in advanced diabetes management. She got her bachelor's degree from Baylor University, her master's in nutritional science from Texas Women's University. Now she's not just out here handing out meal plans and stuff like that. She's transforming lives. She's helped hundreds of clients lower blood sugar, come off medications, and break generational habits when it comes to food and health. She's a speaker, a business owner, the founder of the Nutrition Lady LLC, and she's been featured in multiple publications, interviewed across platforms, and on this one, apparently, and built a reputation for keeping it real with clients while still keeping it flavorful on the plate. You want plant-based? She got you. I mean, if you want fried chicken, I like fried chicken. She got you too. So she's a true plate pioneer, a health hustler, a soul food strategist, and the truth behind the title, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Russ Powell.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I have never been described as a health hustler,
Yeah,
but I'll take it.
Hey, go ahead.
I think I'm gonna keep that. I'm a health hustler.
Go ahead and add it to the tagline. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
Yes,
So-
slanging plates and all the things.
Hey, yeah, love it. So you guys, before we get into this conversation, please make sure you like, subscribe, and share this out. I'm gonna say it at the end anyway, but I wanted to go ahead and get it out early. But we are talking about nutrition. Nutrition. What does it mean to balance your nutrition, specifically from a faith-based prospect? But hey, we're gonna go in a whole bunch of different ways. So let's go ahead and dive into it. I will ask my first question. How do we deal with cultural pressure to eat more when we're trying to eat better? Now, before we get into this question, when I thought about this question, it made me think when I was younger. And I was at my auntie house, and my auntie would make me this huge plate of food. You know, it'd be turkey over here and sweet potatoes over here. It'd be piled high. And I would eat it. I'd eat the whole plate. She could go ahead, baby, get some more. But we all know that wasn't the healthiest thing. We do. But I mean, it was greens on the plate. The greens were, pretty dark, but it was still green. So we were eating.
Have bacon and
Yeah. Little ham in there.
all the nutrition out of it.
Absolutely. So again, how do we deal with cultural pressure to eat more when we're trying to eat better?
Yeah, no, that is a common thing because food is more than just food, right? It's a way for people to show they love you. It's a way of celebrating and all the things. So food is more than just giving you like energy. So, but whenever you're trying to set some healthy boundaries where you don't overeat or go beyond your limits, it's a delicate balance. So with that said, as an adult, whenever you're forced with those pressures of like, I made you something, and whenever you say no, the person thinks like you're rejecting them, when in fact you're not rejecting them. Like you're setting a boundary of like, I would love to have this and you're an awesome cook. But I want to respect, like what my body can handle because I've already had too much. So I work in the realm of reframing things. And so, we want to acknowledge the fact that, they're an awesome cook and I love coming over and, we make some awesome food memories. One of the ways I would reframe it is say, I would love to have that, but let me add some more of these greens over here, or just try to pick out some of the healthier components of the meal. Let me add more of that so that my body can really enjoy this particular thing you're asking me to have more of. If you're at capacity, whenever they say, oh, have a little bit more, another way to reframe it is to say, I really want to extend or enjoy this blessing. I'm going to take some home so I can have it again as part of my meal plan for the week. So that way you're not rejecting them, but you're putting some distance of like, not right now. And I want to enjoy this experience again because I really cherish this moment. And I know I would think of you when I eat it again. So I'm going to take some with me. And so whenever you frame it like that, the kind of like the pressure goes down, like, okay, I'm not hurting their feelings because maybe that's the only way they can express love, but also too, you're respecting your body of saying, I'm not going to shoot my blood sugars up to 300 just to pacify, someone. And then you're left, resenting the whole situation. Cause, I deal with this a lot where I have clients who avoid going to certain social events with family because they're like, she's going to make me eat all this stuff, and I don't want to hurt her feelings. But we have to practice some of these empowered responses so that way we can get comfortable, setting that healthy boundary, but also training people around us of like, it's not she doesn't like my food. She just, wants to pace herself. So that would be the first approach I would take with that. What are your thoughts, Pastor, on that?
I mean, I think the examples that you give are important about reframing. And to me, what I see in that is that I think there's still work to be done a lot of times with us in our relationship with food, right? So you give the example, Julian, of your auntie putting this plate before you, and we build certain relationships with food. Russ, you were talking about the ways that we use food to celebrate. And I think in our culture, food is attached to pretty much everything. Somebody graduates, there's food. Somebody's getting married, there's food. It's a birthday, there's food. Somebody passes away, there's food. Like there's food attached to everything. And we end up building some unhealthy relationships and connections with food. So food becomes more than a primary fuel source for us. It becomes, like you said, there's this way of celebrating, connecting, creating memories, things like that. But not always in the healthiest way, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's a couple of things that have been said that just jumped out at me, right? So like my kids have dietary restrictions, right? So they have allergies and so on and so forth. And when they were younger, my parents were like, y'all just don't love me and because you won't let us feed them whatever we want. And I was like, no, I just don't want them to die, so but so when I'm hearing you guys say that, it very well seems like that, like our relationship with food is very unhealthy. But the other thing that you said, Russ, that made me kind of think a little bit is there a misconception about us consuming food, right? Because a lot of people feel like they have to eat to get full. Like once they're full, then they know they've gone too far versus being what's the word I'm thinking about here? Satisfied. Yeah. So what is the difference, and do we actually have that unhealthy thought process about food?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely the intentionality, whenever you're sitting down and eating. Sometimes we eat too quickly and we're just like not paying attention until we're like, oh, I feel uncomfortable, and also just taking the time to be present in the meal. If you really pay attention to whenever you hit that satiety mark, there's oftentimes food left over on the plate where you feel satiated.
You're using college level words.
Oh,
satiety mark. I don't know what that means.
That means you feel like, I feel good. Like for satiety, how to measure it, is if the phone rang and you were eating and you were to walk away and have that conversation, you would not be consumed with food noise of like, oh my God, I can't wait this conversation to be up. I'm so hungry, where you could still engage in that conversation and you're not even thinking about food anymore. And then when you come back to it, you're like, I can go ahead and, put this in the garbage, that type of thing. So that's typically that's satiated, where you feel comfortable and not feeling like I am still just so hungry. Versus fullness typically in our culture is stuffed.
Yeah.
Where you get the itis.
Yeah.
Right? Where you can't even get up from this chair. You have to unbutton the first button. You got to sit back and I need a nap. That's when you have overconsumed. Because if you've worked with me or taken a class with me, I always state that if you are leaving a meal feeling exhausted, you have overdone it. Because the purpose of our meal is to give us energy. Right. And so, but if you have given yourself excess energy that your body can't utilize, it will start storing it as fat and make us really sleepy and tired. So, being present allows us to identify satiety when we had enough, but oftentimes we're not present. We're just eating and trying to clean the plate, and the emptiness of the plate determines, okay, I've had enough, when in fact that's not the case.
So is that so now I'm bringing up just childhood trauma here, because when I was a kid, you had to clean your plate.
Yeah.
So now you're saying it's not okay because if you full,
Yes.
Just let it go.
Right. You should always respect your fullness, your satiety point.
I gotta respect my mama too. I don't want to get slapped upside my head. She said I gotta clean my plate.
But you open up a lot of things because in terms of our relationship with food, it does start when we're kids.
Yeah.
You know, that's the groundwork. You know, that's why it's so important. And studies have shown that disconnection of like satiety and fullness typically happens around grade school. Whenever we have set, feeding times and we have to rush to our lunch bell and, rush through the meal and then come back. Because, as babies, they have their own rhythm, every 2 hours if they're growing, and then they'll go longer periods of time without because they're not having that growth demand that they kind of eat in the response to what the body, does. But whenever we're getting outside of the home and we're having these, time eating set by school or work or whatever, that's typically when we lose that connection for food, or when someone's plating our food, so yeah. And so it really takes you out of the decision making process of like, have I had enough? But also too is the scarcity mindset, like, don't waste my food. I cooked all this food, I stay on this hot stove, don't throw it away. And so whenever as a child you're taught that like don't waste food, you're ignoring the cues that God gives us of like, you had enough. We start relying more on a people pleasing, appeasing our parents, that sort of thing. And so then we start developing an unhealthy relationship because we were never really given permission to respect our fullness.
So I think there was something you said a moment ago that I thought was interesting when you were talking a little bit about like the putting the plate in front of you and how much food is there. I mean, really in practice, when we look at kind of the human body, how should we be judging what is an appropriate amount of food in a particular setting, right? Because a serving size versus what we usually get is probably more than the body really needs.
Yeah.
So how do we know what that really should look like?
Yeah. Definitely, because especially if you're eating outside the home, you go to a restaurant, you're like, is this for me or is this for the whole family? Like, oh my goodness. And also too, a serving size and a portion size, those are two different things. A serving size on like a label that
Say more.
Yeah, I'm about to say, you learned me something.
Yes, servings and portions are different. So a serving size is typically a defined quantity that, let's say, the manufacturers has come up with, that they could put in that package. So depending on, how big of a bag they want to sell. So they'll say, this particular bag has 5 servings and 1 serving is 2/3 of a cup. And for that 2/3 of a cup, you have, X number of, fat, fiber, protein, all the things, right? So that's a serving size that the manufacturer determined based off of the package that they have. Now, people would say that and they were like, well, this is only 200 calories. I get to have 10 dots, whatever. But your portion could be less or more of what your body needs. So portion is prescriptive and individualized, not the serving size that a manufacturer. Because the manufacturer doesn't know you. Don't know your needs. Only you do. So, So in terms of how do we determine what is the appropriate portion size for us? Only way we can determine that is by, one, being mindful of knowing when you get full. So that way, let's say you sat down with a plate of food and you're like, every time I put this much on the plate, takes up this much real estate, I never finish it. Let me give myself a little bit less portion of that because I never finish it. So it's kind of a trial and error situation of you understanding when you hit that satiety point and what's left on the plate. So, and I feel like moms do a really good job, at this whenever the kids are, introducing foods. They're like, you should never finish that whole banana. I'm just going to do half, so I don't want to waste it. It's the same thing we should be doing as adults. So like, I never really finished that. Let me just not give myself that, So that's typically how that works, determining what's appropriate for us.
Man, you really did learn me something. I thought that, when they had a serving size on there, and then, because, you see all these people who come out here and talk about how you need to lose weight, and then you just look at the serving size on the box, and the box will tell you how much you're serving, like all those things. And now you're telling me that's, throw that out the window.
No, that the serving size is set to fit the needs of the person or the company who has made that product.
A serving size of Oreos fat is two
Two.
Oreos.
Yeah, 2 Oreos.
Right.
That is diabolical.
I
Two
mean,
Oreos? Who's eating just two?
Nobody. I'm coming out with a whole row.
So you eat multiple
I'm
servings.
I'm
Your
serving.
portion is a row.
Yeah, absolutely. That's when I know I'm satiated. So
So Russ, what would you say to Julian if he's gonna eat a row of Oreo cookies?
I may pair it with some ice cream.
Oh,
Just saying.
Okay.
It's cookies and cream, man.
yeah, that's what's up.
So what would we say? A row of cookies and Bluebell.
Yeah, Bluebell. Yeah, Bluebell's a good one.
Okay, cool.
You don't think that's a bad thing?
Well, going back to what the original statement was, how can you determine the appropriate portion size? Well, the appropriate portion size, let's say you are one that to indulge in Oreos and Bluebell on a regular basis, right? Mm-hmm. And let's say you consistently do that. If that has resulted in, let's say, tighter pants or increase in the scale, then, maybe that portion of Bluebell and the Oreos may not be the right portion for me because it's taking me over of what I need to. So
you, first of all, me and a whole row of Oreos is not. We don't do that. I split that between my family. I'll probably get 4.
Okay.
4 is cool.
It's 2 servings.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what? We're not gonna do this. Maybe 2 servings is my portion.
That's your portion.
It's my portion.
That's your portion. You feel good about that?
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't. Hey.
Yeah.
Jesus is my portion. You know. But.
So it all goes down to your health goals, right?
You're right.
It all comes down to it. If you are okay pounding down 4 Oreos because you feel like pounding down 4 Oreos and you good, and nothing has changed in your
eating Oreos, you pound them down.
And you okay with that? Rock with it. Absolutely.
Now I don't want to eat Oreos.
You got the official word from a registered dietitian.
I shouldn't be pounding down.
Pound down 4 Oreos. Absolutely.
There you go.
So
there you have it.
So speaking of Oreos, usually Oreos is kind of a late night craving.
Yeah.
And even if we go back to like those meals, like if you're out at somebody's house and you get full, you take a plate home and you sitting up at 12 o'clock in the morning and you want to take a nibble, you probably gonna take a nibble of that plate or some chips or some Oreos, right? So what is like late night snacking and things like that? What does that say about like us and how we look at food?
Very
and how we
good
value
question.
food?
Like what's going on whenever you kind of get the midnight munchies or things like that. Oftentimes it's more than hunger that we're looking to satisfy. Whenever you're up that late and you're getting that desire, to eat, especially if you look at your entire day, like did you eat enough? Like, did you eat your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and now your day is kind of extended? You may be getting these munchies as a reflection of, I'm tired, like I need rest. And now you have this spike in cortisol because your body is going beyond its normal capacity to like navigate a day. Let's say your normal day is like an 8-hour day, but now you up for 15 hours. So that's stressing the body out because it's not primed to go that long. And so it's going to start demanding more energy because it's like, I don't even have enough gas in the tank. I'm normally used to going 75 miles a day, but now you want me to go 150 miles a day? I don't have enough gas in the tank. So it could be a reflection of just an overextended day and your body is saying, I need some quick fuel and it needs rest. Because if you're pounding down food at midnight, like, why are you up? Like, you need to go to bed, at that point. So, but if it also, what I see with some of the late night munchies is a reflection of underfueling in the earlier part of the day. And if you're in this rhythm of going to bed at a certain time, your body knows it's going to wind down and it needs some reserve in the tank to keep you alive while you're sleeping. But if you underfueled yourself in the earlier part of the day, it's going to catch up with you at night. Because your body's thinking like, okay, we about to fast. We have nothing in us. Our body runs off of 1,800 calories a day. She only gave me 900 today. I got to meet my other 900 to get my 1,800. I'm going to find something. So I'm going to start, picking up the hunger hormones. I want to eat something. And it's typically in the form of sweet, salty, fatty, crunchy at the end of the day because it's quick. So, and also too, you're tired. So it also gives you that dopamine. It makes you rest. So, but yeah, that's typically the first thing that's happening is under fueling. But other part of that is late night snacking could be a reflection of you needing some type of comfort. Maybe you had a stressful day and this is the only time you had time to yourself. You're like, I'm going to eat because I feel happy. I am calm. And now we're putting food in a place where we're using it to numb. And we're numbing out our feelings. Or maybe it was a conversation with your boss you didn't have. And so now you're just eating your feelings. When in fact, you need to have the conversation. So that's typically what I see with that. But
wow. I mean, I think you open up the door for like the intersection between like where faith and food come together. And I think one of the things I find interesting about that conversation is the sense that, God has crafted and created our bodies as a very tightly regulated system to be able to process the things that we eat. And when we start talking about from a faith standpoint, am I being a good steward of my body, right? We'll see ourselves be good stewards with money or our possessions, but maybe not so much with our physical well-being. And so it's interesting that we don't take into consideration that this idea that we want to be used by God. We'll say, I want to be used by God, but then physically, because I haven't taken care of my temple, haven't taken care of my body, then, okay, what is he supposed to be using exactly, right? I have been a witness of being myself, done a better job at points in my life of taking care of my car than I did of taking care of my body, right? Which makes absolutely no sense. And I also noticed that you were talking a little bit about, we were talking about Oreos and things like that, which introduces a conversation to me about like highly processed foods and the difference. Like in my work with Russ, because I am a client of Russ, in my work with Russ, one of the things that has certainly changed for me is that, my wife and I, after working with her, we don't really eat very much in terms of overly processed foods, because overly processed foods tend to cause you to eat more of it, right? And so an example Russ gave me one time was a family bag of Lay's chips is equal to 3 large russet potatoes. And she was like, would you ever sit down in one setting and eat 3 large russet baked potatoes? And I was like, no, never. But you could sit down and eat a whole family-sized bag of Lay's potato chip, 100%. It's because of the way that it's processed, right? It's processed in such a way that you just keep eating and eating and eating it. But in its raw, natural state, you would never consume that much of it. So they create the food so that you would overconsume. The whole point is overconsumption.
absolutely. And that's a good point in terms of the nature of our food, the form of our food, how we're consuming it, and how it hits different. It definitely hits different with Lay's bag of potato chips because one, it's not in its natural state. It's been highly processed and broken down, and they've added things, salt, and also preserved it so that we can stay on the shelf and they don't lose money. But also too, in food science, whenever I was going through my training, food science was a big part of my training. We learned how to manipulate different components in food that would, the first few bites would hit, the strongest, and then it'll kind of fade, or the crunchiness of, depending on how you do it, the crunchiness of a food will last longer, and then it will fade.
So wait. You mean to tell me that some processed foods are created in such a way that when you eat the first couple of bites, those are the best to keep you
on it. Keep you on the line. Absolutely. And if you pay attention to just the market, even our chip flavors, you see everything says bold, like bold, intense, that sort of thing. It's so interesting. I went to QT looking for a regular bag of chips for my son. That's regular. And I was like, why is everything intense and bold? Where's the regular? And they were like, we don't we don't have it. That like they're switching everything over to the bold flavors. That's what people want. And so and I was like, oh, I get it. They want to keep people on the bag. Food
Yeah.
is addictive, and it's food science for the fact that you can manipulate ingredients and components in it to keep you going back. Even like the marketing, was it Pringles, like you just don't get one or something like that. That is true.
Bet you can't eat one?
Yeah,
Just one?
absolutely. And so, but when things are in its natural state, no, like a whole potato, there's so much fiber and bulk. Like you feel like, oh, I can have 3 potatoes. But when it's broken down, yeah, like your body, it hits that dopamine center, that reward center so strong and so hard, and it lasts for so long that you just want to have more, so.
That just made me realize the enemy is running our food chain and we don't even know it.
Oh, yeah.
Like he literally is just running
It's
it.
very intentional.
We don't even know it.
It's very intentional.
I'll be honest. I heard everything y'all said. I'm still caught up on the fact that you would eat a whole family bag of chips?
Oh yeah, I ain't always look like this.
Well, I know. No. I'm
Like
gonna be very clear. I know this. But even in my biggest state, I couldn't eat a whole family. You could eat a whole family bag of chips?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. 100%.
And you were the one pounding food?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know you was like that.
I could do that.
I couldn't do that.
I
Wow.
could do that.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I have literally been at a point in my life a long time ago where when I was dating my wife, no joke, like this is like a confession. I don't know if anybody else knows this. My wife knows it.
Come on, Usher.
But yeah, come on. We would go out on a date
Uh-huh.
and we would go to a restaurant and I would get something to eat and I would eat with her. And I would get something to eat on my way home after I dropped her off.
Whoa.
Like we went to a restaurant to sit down and eat. We would eat. I would take her back home. I would then run through a drive-through, get something to eat on my way home.
Wow.
No joke. And it wasn't because I ate a salad at dinner, because that wasn't it.
So this is just a little deep dive here. So was your relationship with food something that started with you when you were younger? It was just something that you developed over time? Because this is the worst I've ever done when it came to eating. And I tell anybody this story, was me and my wife, when she was pregnant with my first daughter, we ate horribly. Like, and it was one night that she was like, hey baby, I need you to go to Jack in the Box. She was pregnant. I need you to go to Jack in the Box and get me 12 tacos. I was like, all right. And then when I was there, I was like, add 8 more to them. That was for me. So we would eat, but that was only during that time when we were just like that bad. But I think that we used her pregnancy as an excuse to eat.
Right.
So just asking you, like, do you feel like you ate like that based on a poor relationship or something that you just started when you were younger?
No, like I developed a poor relationship with food probably in my teenage years.
Oh.
Through a good portion of my adult life, I had a very bad relationship with food. I mean, to the point, I mean, that's just one example. Even after my wife and I got married early on, she would say, go to a grocery store. Like I go to a grocery store and get something. And on the way back, I run through a fast food place, get something to eat it before I got back home, and then cook dinner for us when I got home. Because I went to the store to get something to finish cooking dinner.
I did not.
Yeah.
I did not know. So, because I really had a question for Russ, but I got to ask this question. What was the thing that just kind of made you, because I mean, I've been here long enough to watch you go through the transformation.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's amazing, right? But like, what was the thing that just was the spark that just was like, yeah, it's time?
The spark was was when I turned 40. I was 48, and when I was 48, my mother passed away, and I decided that the next chapter of my life, I wanted the next chapter of my life to be the best chapter of my life in terms of my health. And so when I got started, I went down the road of really being focused on how can I be the healthiest version of myself, right? And so it meant that I had to go ahead and have a breakup with food. It was a rough breakup, play music and everything. So I had to really break and change that relationship with food. And I had done all the things, right? So I had done Weight Watchers and Atkins, and I didn't do Jenny Craig. I didn't do that one. But I had done a little bit of everything. I tried a little bit of everything, and
Slim
take weight
fast.
off, put weight back on.
Yeah.
This time I was like, no, I just want to go on this journey and take my time and do it right. And so that was really the focus. And then I learned along the way that I knew nothing about nutrition. I knew absolutely nothing about nutrition. I didn't know what went together, what didn't go together, what I should eat, what I shouldn't eat, because my results would be impacted. Like I'd be working out, doing all these things, and nothing was moving. And then my wife met Russ first and started and introduced me to Russ, and we started working together. And immediately, like I started learning, okay, oh, these things go together. One of the biggest changes that we talk about, number one, is my physical change really spurred something for me spiritually that I never expected, right? Like the level of clarity, connection, relationship that I developed with God, even in changing my physical um, temple, I wouldn't go back for anything. The other thing is that that's really interesting to me is the health benefits and really how food does heal. Like Russ would tell me food heals, and I'd be like, food don't heal nothing. She just saying something. This some new age stuff. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, Russ. But the truth of the matter was, there was a lot of truth to that, right?
Yeah.
And like all of my health conditions reversed. I mean, reversed completely out, just gone, um, by changing what I was eating. And now when I go to the grocery store, I don't even go on the aisles really where there's overly processed food. Like I'm not even. Grocery stores are designed so they want you to go down the aisles with overly processed food.
Yeah. You got to go on the outskirts. The outskirts is really the good
That's the
stuff.
only place where we shop now.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's definitely it's so many layers today, like in terms of like why we eat. It could be a route home, and like, oh, I haven't seen, that restaurant in a while. Let me go try it out. And then you just kind of get in the habit, of doing it. Or it just could be kind of our default response to like, oh, that was stressful. Let me go eat something. Or, after a date, you're like, wow, okay, I hope they like me or whatever. And you start thinking like, let me just eat my feelings. Like there's so many triggers, and it takes a lot of work for you to really figure out like, why am I eating? Is it head hunger or is it physical hunger? Because head hunger and physical hunger, they're so different and they require different things. And so, so while we eat, and also like the grocery store, yes, the food manufacturing companies and distributors, they buy spots, they buy like real estate. So, and they have people that walk the store to make sure that their real estate is actually being utilized. So a big chip company, let's say they bought the eye level shelf because that's what they want you to see. And they'll literally have like secret shoppers making sure that their product is on the eye level shelf. And they have to pay for that real estate because it's psychology. Like they want you to pick their products, And so even commercials, I'm sure you've probably seen a commercial. You're like, oh my God, it looks so juicy. I really want to go try that, or I wouldn't even think about food. That commercial comes on and you want to eat. So yes, to Pastor's point, there are a lot of food bombs, there are landmines that are planted to get our attention. And our health is not in the equation at all. They want our coins.
Yeah, it sounds similar to the music industry. I'll be very honest. And the way that the music industry tries to manipulate certain people, certain cultures, so on and so forth, to be able to listen to something and ingest certain types of music and certain types of attitudes and culture. There's this thing, I think it's by Aristotle. I can't remember. It was either Plato or Aristotle that says the doctrine of ethos, which is music has the availability to change one's mind and mood, right? And so the way that I look at it is that what you're saying is the same one as a music person. That's exactly what I'm hearing.
Yeah, our food, absolutely. And Pastor and I talk about this all the time where, people will say, well, everybody in my family has diabetes, it runs in my family, that sort of thing. And it's one of those things where, we can't change our genetic profile. Like we are who we are, but our food and the environment, the ecosystem that we create for our bodies can definitely start turning on those genes. But if you are eating, whole foods, natural foods, anti-inflammatory foods, moving your body, those genes won't be turned on,
Yeah.
at all. And so, but going back to stewardship, our health, our body, our temple, it was paid for at a great price. And we have to steward that by being really intentional and setting the appropriate boundaries with things that can destroy the temple. Because I cannot tell you the change in rate of disease I'm seeing in young people. So typically I'm seeing like type 2 diabetes happen in people like 40 plus, but now it's happening 20-year-olds. And then a recent study came out where 1 in 3 adolescents have prediabetes.
1 in 3.
1 in 3. And so it's coming so early. And so as a practitioner, to see this, that means their life expectancy is going to go down.
It's going down. Yeah, me and my wife talked about that. I told you about my wife before, but she looks at all those things. She looks at all those. It's weird. My wife is like a super foodie. Like if you would look at our text messages that we have between a lot of people, she sends like a lot of foodie stuff, but then she's well aware of all the other things that go on. But no, so the life expectancy, some of those things we talked about, even when I lost the bulk of my weight after I having my first child, that was one of the things that we did. Like we, raw natural foods. We weren't eating a lot of processed stuff. The only thing that we would do where we were living in Beaumont, they had this wing spot. I love wings. So they had this wing spot, and every Tuesday they have 50-cent wings? Oh. So we would go and have 50-cent wings. But outside of that though, we were trying to do all the right things, which we did.
Yeah, and
how many wings?
Oh my God.
Oh, I filled up. I filled the tank. I don't remember. It's whatever.
So you want to call me out about some chips, but you don't want to say how many wings.
I don't know how many wings it was.
Wings?
I'm telling you, I filled up though. I pounded the wings. There we go. So
I know you could eat 8 tacos because you said that.
Not anymore, but then sure. At that point, absolutely. Okay. But I mean, back then, me and wings, there was no stopping point for me. But outside of that though, I mean, but that counts though. It's protein. It's protein.
Right.
I'm literally sitting here thinking about the level of spiritual attack.
Yes.
That happens when it comes to food. I had never really thought about that, but I'm sitting here thinking about.
Yes, it is. It is. Similar to, they made the allusion, the analogy about the music industry. They can transfer our mood, our spirit, the whole thing. Same thing with our food, because they can turn on genes and, express disease and, start turning on these reward centers and all the things. Yes. And that's why it's so important to be intentional about what you give your time and what gets access to you. Not saying that you can't listen to, whatever music you choose, but it's like if you feel like you want to go turn a club up every time, you want to go break some laws after, maybe I need to not listen to that music, And the same thing with food, if it's one of those things where it just keeps you going back and you don't even like real food anymore. And I bring that up is because whenever I'm transitioning people more to whole foods, natural foods, and we're cooking, things, they would say, Russ, I know this food is good for me. I know I seasoned it well, but it doesn't hit the same. And once we unpack it, I was like, it's because you're looking for the same hit that you got when you were going out to eat. And it's not hitting the same, so you're not attracted to it. Versus you go to, the drive-through, oh, you want that because it makes you feel, you're chasing that feeling, right? And so since whole food, natural food is not giving you that feeling, you're like, I don't like any of this. I've had a lady that we've tried, oh my God, 12 different meal prep strategies. And we came down to like, girl, you just relying on fast food. Like you just addicted to fast food. And she ended up realizing, like, I'm seeking that same fix I got whenever I went to, Chili's or whatever. And we had to have a kind of like a planned breakup session. Like we're going to have to take some distance from this so your palate can reset. To where you can actually enjoy real food. Because you don't even know what real food tastes like anymore. You're used to eating food like products. It's not even food,
So it's good because the church at large, it's one of the things we don't talk about. Like we'll talk about, oh, don't do this vice or don't do that vice. But very rarely do you hear any conversation about food, right? Like, what is it that you're ingesting? What is it you're putting into your body? You know, does the enemy have a stronghold in your life in the area of food? Like, I'm sitting here thinking that's a real question.
All right,
Does he have a
prepare to get the sermon changed. Hey,
Does he have a stronghold? That, and even how well, like fitness and how we move and all those kinds of things. We don't really talk a lot about that, because I'm listening to what you're saying, Russ, about people like this food is healthy for me. I know I should eat it, but I'm not going to eat it. I'm going to eat the thing that is unhealthy, that is effectively going to force me to at some point have to have some medical intervention.
correct.
And one of the things that I made a decision early on was is where I was in terms of my health at that point was I decided I was going to pay now. I was going to pay now or pay later.
Pay later.
I was going to pay.
Yes.
That's what my wife used to say all the time. Yeah.
I was going to pay some kind of way. I wouldn't get out of paying. So I was like, I'd rather pay now so that I can enjoy my life later. Right?
Yeah.
So let me pay up front. And so I had to make a decision to do that. But that's really interesting that I've been there before too. Like I don't want that. But one of the things I noticed is that once you make the change and you stick with it, you don't really
want it. It don't even taste the same when you go to it.
It doesn't hit the same anymore. Yeah, it doesn't hit the same. So, and it goes back to what you were saying, just like, our spiritual walk, our spiritual health, it somehow, the physical part is not connected, somehow. And the only way we can do all the things we're assigned to do is to have a good body.
Right.
And so our physical health is just in alignment with our spiritual health and to live out our assignment, that we're supposed to do here. But we can shorten our assignment time real quick by ignoring
our assignment time, bro.
Ignoring our body, and for the fact that this temple is not our own, it's God's. We're supposed to, nourish it and steward it the right way. But there's that lack of connection there. And yes, you're going to pay for it at some point. And I see this a lot with the clients I coach. They can achieve so many great things, financial and, personal development, all the things at the sacrifice of their health. They're skipping meals, or just grabbing fast food so that they can get to the next thing, But then something happens with their health. You accumulate all of these like titles and all this wealth. You can't even enjoy it. Or all the money you did acquire is now going to the doctor. Like now he's getting all the payout because you're on all these medications and things like that. So I really feel like this lack of consciousness that we go through life with is really taking us out of being accountable, for the very thing that gets us through the day-to-day, which is our body. So
let me ask you this. How do you balance like not losing flavor, but like still keeping like your body's right and doing the right things, right? Because you said something earlier, me and the Browns, or my family and the Browns, we like to make like random Chili's runs on Sundays.
Yeah.
But are you saying Chili's is out of the question now? Or how do you balance all of this?
And that's one of the things, like food should not be your flavor, your culture, the foods that you like, right? It shouldn't be demonized, right? So I work in the law of addition, not subtraction, because the very first thing that when people work with me, like, okay, tell me what I can't eat. Like, why do you think I'm gonna take everything away? So I'm gonna add things that help your body process this. And so I'm always going to be support body first. So if I can add more things to, let's say, your chili to help your body process it and help you be more present, to eat it, that's the way I'm going to go. So let's say you do like chili or whatever, then let's find ways to add some more fiber, because at least the fiber will slow down the chili when you ingest it, and you can actually enjoy it and not rush through it. Or, maybe add some more protein to it. So that way you feel fuller, quicker.
I love protein.
In the form of that, healthy proteins. And so, not wings. But so with that said, it's the law of addition.
You're not going to mess with my wings. I'm just letting you know.
And also with the wing situation. So let me hit the wings real quick, because you've been bringing up these wings, 56 wings. So with the wings.
I don't get them no more, though.
I know, but I'm just going to use it.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So with the wings are fried, right? That's how we cook the wings. And so whenever I'm teaching clients how to eat wings, So wings actually has 2 macros already. It has the protein from the chicken and also has the carbohydrates from the batter, right? So that's 2 macros right there. The one thing that you're missing, the other macro, is the fiber. So we need to add some fiber to those wings. One, fried foods can be inflammatory. So we don't want to have fried wings with a bunch of fries because that's 2 inflammatory foods.
I agree.
But we have fried wings with, let's say, some green beans or a salad or something like that. At least that would reduce the inflammatory load. And you won't have the desire to go and pound down 8 more wings because fiber is going to add volume to your tummy. So you're going to feel full. You're like, okay, I'm good with 6. I'm fine. So that's how I would do it.
All right. Let me ask you this now, because if we talking about wings, we gotta really get into it.
Yes, let's talk about it.
So if I go to the Wingstop place, right? Because I generally don't. I mean, I can eat the fries, but I don't really need them. Like I can just get the meat all day, right? If I get the corn, is that bad?
That doesn't give you enough fiber that you need. You need some bulk. You need some bulk. Because with corn, in terms of learning nutrition, corn is going to be in the carbohydrate family. So you had carb and carb. You got the batter, and then you got the carb.
The carb from the corn.
Yeah, so you got to pick a struggle. Well, just add a salad and be all right.
I mean, I don't have a problem with adding a salad. It's just not at the place that I'm going. So that means that I would have to get and then go home and prepare the salad. Then by that time I get home, the wings is cold. I like them hot. So, but I like that though. I can pair my wings with.
Absolutely. And also too, looking at moderation, like define moderation, right? Like if you've had an awesome week, you planned your meals, you ate all the things that you prepared, and let's say you had a wing meal. That wing meal ain't gonna do nothing because you've had such a great week. But if you've had wings, tacos, pizza, that's too much. Like you got to pick a struggle,
Fair.
So yeah. So it's looking at the bigger picture of things. And I think that's what diet culture comes about, where people start demonizing food. They're not looking at the big picture, So we got 21 eating opportunities in a week if you're doing 3 square meals. What's one meal out of 21 eating opportunities?
Yeah, you say something very interesting because I was just having this conversation with my wife. We were watching this this weight loss show called I Can on YouTube. And I mean, it's a good show. They give out good information and so on and so forth, but they bring 2 contestants. He brings 2 contestants in the house and then, he puts them on this, diet or whatever and have them working out. I watched the show and they had great success. Like one dude lost 140 pounds in 6 months, I think there was, which I thought was great. But the thing that I said to my wife was that's not sustainable because what happens is he puts them in his house, and he takes all the normal foods out of their diet and they just puts them on whole foods, nothing cooked, all vegetables, fruits, so on and so forth. Right. And then he makes them work out two times a day. Right. Well, if you're in a house and you're doing that, right, in a place where, you're controlled to do that, that's fine. But when you out in the real world, that's not sustainable. Nope. Because I know that I'm going to see a hamburger and I ain't going to have a whole bunch of fruits and vegetables around because I'm going to be out with my partners. Right. So what would you say is the best way to be able to manage those situations, right? I'm trying to watch my health, but I'm going out with my friends. I'm going to Chilosos, or I'm going to, I don't want to say McDonald's, but, let's say Hooters, since that's a wings place. Right. What? It's wings, man. Anyway, but what is a good way to balance that and making sure that you're putting the right foods in?
Right. So going back to the person who lost a large amount of weight in a controlled environment, everything was taken away. Someone was holding him accountable, that sort of thing. So, and you're right, it's not sustainable because that person was just basically following rules and they were not giving the opportunity to build a system that works for them. It's a controlled environment. That's not real, and perfection is not attainable. It's not going to work. And so one of the things I tell my clients is you should be more in love with the process than the number and the outcome of the scale. Because if you don't have a process, a system that you love, it's not going to work at all, And so when you're put into social situations like what you're saying, and you're just been focusing on dieting and following rules and following strict meal plans when you go off the Chiloso or however, and you sit in front of you, either going to do one thing, two things. You either going to default to your old behaviors, like I'm just going to eat everything, or you going to restrict and not eat and just sit there and watch everybody else eat and being like this and judging everybody because you can't have it, and you're judging them because you don't have the skill to navigate it. So now you're just making them feel some type of way. So that's how I approach it, is to focus on the process and understanding that regardless of whatever situation I'm in, I know that I'm going to respect my fullness. I'm not going to eat everything. I'm going to order strategically. I'm going to add, some things that's going to add some volume so I can slow down my eating and actually realize when I'm full. And also, I'm not going to judge myself in this event. Let's say you just want to go all ham. This is one meal, but I'm going to get back to it as soon as possible. So that's the way I approach things like that. And that's why I don't slang meal plans. It's because I tell people, I'm like, I can give you a meal plan. But what's that teaching you? Just to read something and follow it like a robot? Like, I want you to understand what you're doing, because what you're going to tell me is, Russ, I got tired of eating that. I don't want to eat that. Or I ain't have my meal plan with me, so I just ate whatever was available. I have set you up for failure. I want to teach you nutrition and teach you strategies so that way you can navigate real life.
Oh, I like that. I'm cool with that.
Okay.
So I'm
by the way, chili is meat soup and it's disgusting. Right off the rip.
First of all, we're not going to down talk chili. And second of all, I actually said chilies, but I let her go ahead with chili.
Oh, okay.
But both of them was fine because I love chili and I love chilies.
Again,
so both of them are great.
Meat soup, disgusting.
You don't like chili either?
Chili is meat soup.
I disagree. Well,
Oh.
I mean, if you put the right things in it, not really.
No.
Have you ever made chili?
Have you had a veggie chili?
Something I don't like. No, I don't make that. It's chili.
Have you had chili?
It's disgusting.
Have you had it?
Have you
Right
had
out the rip.
Have you had it? Because right now you sound like my 5-year-old.
I have tasted it before. I've tasted chili.
How many times?
Right, because
Why? Is there a certain number of times you got to taste it?
right, because you may have tasted somebody's terrible chili.
Absolutely.
It might have just been some
That
phony
is
chili.
ground beef, backstroking, and grease. No.
Oh my gosh, you just had bad chili.
Bad chili.
Oh,
Yes,
Okay.
some people can't make chili.
I got it. So it's their fault.
Yes,
Gotcha.
yeah, absolutely.
Meat soup.
Oh my gosh.
Disgusting.
I have to ask both of y'all. Ain't judging. I'm judging on that one.
Yeah, I like that.
God tells us not to judge, but I don't know, Lord. I may have to go against you. How you gonna do that with chili?
Chili and or beans.
So when it gets cold outside, you don't eat chili and cornbread?
No,
That would be a no.
He's not eating that.
Because then I'm going to tell you now, if you're talking about cornbread and it's not sweet.
Hey, of course it's sweet. It gotta be sweet. If you decide to do Jiffy, it's still gonna be sweet.
Jiffy?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, if you choose to do Jiffy, but if you make homemade cornbread, you can still make it a little sweet.
that's true. Yeah, let's look at it.
Yeah.
Wow, Pastor, when you know people, when you
Hey.
think you know people,
The more you know.
the more
God.
God.
Let me ask this controversial question to both of you guys. When we're talking about nutrition and we're talking about, our connection and relationship with food, but we're also talking about today's culture in this world, do you all think that the body positivity culture has gone too far?
I tend to lean towards yes and no.
Okay.
Right? In the sense that when we start talking about body positivity, one of the concerns I have is we really need to be focused more on health than the outside appearance.
Okay.
Because you could technically be thin and be very,
Very unhealthy.
100%.
Right? So we would be saying, oh, that's a positive body type because it's supposedly healthy and all that. And it's not necessarily true. The opposite side of that obviously would be if a person is dealing with morbid obesity and we're glorifying that in a way where we can clearly understand and see scientifically, if they don't have health issues at this point, they will definitely have health issues. I do think it can go too far.
Yeah, definitely. And that's an area of like as a practicing registered dietitian that we're seeing just a shift in our profession where the body positivity message is ignoring the science and it's taking away the body accountability. And it does stem from diet culture for the fact that thin, has been thought as healthy, when in fact, as Pastor talked about, you can be thin and very unhealthy, right? But the smaller body has been glorified so much, and the bigger body has been demonized, which has started this movement of body positivity. Because yes, there can be health at different sizes, 100%, but when it comes to the body positivity message, it can get so misconstrued to where, we're just focusing on the external. That doesn't matter. If the weight that you're at is a reflection of you not being accountable to your food choices, and you're not eating a healthful diet, and you're not moving your body, and you're having health markers, that's high blood pressure, high cholesterol, prediabetes, that sort of thing, then the weight is a reflection of your lifestyle, your choices. That's why the body looks a certain type of way. But let's say you do start eating a healthful diet, you're moving more, that sort of thing, and those biomarkers go down, and you don't have any physical limitations by the size of your body. And let's say you are not the standard body type, then who cares? Because you have increased your health span, not and your lifespan, as well. But I think the body positivity message is kind of like a rebellion towards diet culture, where we're ignoring the fact that we still have to be accountable for our body in terms of how we take care of it. And once you hit that ideal weight where you can navigate life successfully and not have any physical limitations, then that's the body for you. So whenever we're talking about what's the ideal body weight for someone, we can't really say that, because the ideal body weight for someone could be 50 pounds over what the chart says you're supposed to be. But this person is fit and they're healthy and they're able to do all the things. And so that's one of the things in the new age registered dietitians who are, promoting some of the body positivity part. I'm like, we can do that to make sure that we're not supporting diet culture, but as practitioners, we cannot ignore the science, and the conversation. Even whenever I'm talking to clients, whenever they're celebrating their weight loss, I always shift it towards a non-scale victory of like, but your waistline went down and your blood pressure went down, and aren't you breathing better? And like, yeah, I am. Like, you're not snoring anymore, so things like that, because I know that if you're not snoring at night, then that's less strain on your heart, you know, and that sort of thing. So that's my point of, you still have to be body accountable. So a body accountability has to be there.
Yeah. And you brought up some things that really hit home for me, because there was a time where I had the snore and the sleep apnea and all that kind of stuff. And I just recently asked my wife, I said, hey, babe, do I still snore and all that kind of stuff? She was like, no. You don't do that, so, and I'm still kind of plump. So, but I'm gonna be honest, I really don't eat like that. Like, even right now, like I have protein in the morning, and then like I'll have, during lunch, I'll probably have like a protein and a vegetable and a carb. And then at night now I'm doing like 10 ounces of vegetable and a protein. Okay. So,
that's great.
Why you looking at me like that? You don't believe me?
No, I believe you 100%. I do. I believe you.
Oh.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I mean, I don't know. Does that work for your health goals? Does that work for your activity level?
I mean, for me, it's something that I've recently tried, or I'm trying, just to see what it does for me. Yeah, and every day I made it a point to go walk. Okay. So, I try to go walk around. It's too hot outside, so it'll be like around 7:30. But I try to go walk outside around my neighborhood. I do about 1.5 miles, and then every other day after that I do some weight training, right? But from a food perspective, like I said, this is just something that I'm trying, but on average, most of the time, if it's not put in front of me, I usually don't eat it. Like my kids know I don't like a bunch of chips. I don't like a bunch of candy. Those are just two things. But I mean, if you put cookies or cake in my face, that's a completely different conversation.
The Oreos, though.
Not necessarily. Well, Oreos can do it, but if you put me some chocolate chips, some warm ones, oh my gosh.
No, and it's one of those things where you have to get to a spot where you're like, obviously you're trying to experiment and figure out, what works,
right.
But in terms of, is this body a body that can carry me the next 50 years? Mm-hmm. Okay, you're like, okay, maybe not, because if I was, falling on the floor and I was 80 years old and I was on the ground at this weight, would I be able to pick myself up? So then the health focus may be, okay, I need to focus not just on the food piece, but also the fitness, part of it too. So that way I can maintain my independence, because that's one of the things that I see young people not thinking about. They're thinking about the right now.
Yeah.
But if you were 50 years older, would your current fitness level be able to maintain your quality of life? If you're not able to, let's say, walk a mile now without huffing and puffing, do you think it's going to get easier 50 years from now? No, it's not. So we should always think about, in terms of stewardship, the investment that we're putting in now to get the outcome later, but if we're just doing just these transactional things, I just do whatever, not thinking about the future, you're going to be forced to face it whenever you're having to be dependent on someone because your fitness level is not at a place where it should be. And 50 years from now, you're going to be relying on someone taking care of you. So that's the mindset that I drill into my clients all the time. Like, okay, the things you're doing now, 5 years from now, where do you think where you think you'll be? Then if you don't like the outcome, okay, let's make some changes, and the body will take care of itself. You just have to be consistent with those healthy behaviors and thinking about the future.
So you talked about biomarkers a minute ago, and I'm interested in knowing what type of markers would you recommend that people look at, right? Because like in our work together, we talk about the scale, the weight. My weight is not a definition, it's a data point.
Yes.
And so just for reference, if my weight is not where I want it to be, Russ will tell you I'll straight crash out. I'll just crash out. Oh so, but and then I know that things like you were talking about the weight on the chart and things like that, those things can be, you can try to reach for those things. Like my BMI says I am morbidly obese, like by calculation today. So what markers would you recommend that we look at?
Yeah, so BMI, obviously, as we know, like it's very limiting, especially for people who have more of an athletic type build and that sort of thing. So I am more concerned about body composition. So whenever we're looking at our data points, one of the things I zone in on is how much muscle mass you have, compared to the fat mass you have. So definitely want to have more muscle than we do have the fat. And then I'm also looking at your visceral score. Your visceral score is the fat around your organs in your trunk. And that's a score that's associated with this disease. And so with that, on like an in-body scale, the goal is to be less than 10. For that. So that way you're not having these counter-regulatory or competing hormones from the fat that's competing with your insulin, or it's pressing on your kidneys to where your blood pressure goes up because there's so much fat, around the organs there. So that's the biggest thing. So before you look at the scale and crash out, look at your body comp. Like, are we good around the waist? And so then whenever we figure out, okay, let's figure out what's going on with this visceral fat, so, and then we can start figuring out, what things to manipulate. So that's one thing from a body composition perspective, is to look at where are you holding the fat and how much of it's muscle and how much of it's not, and then when it comes to like labs and things of that nature, this is mid-year, so this is the time people typically get in their labs. I highly encourage people to take a look at their labs themselves and not just go by what the doctor says, because they'll say, oh, it's fine. Fine could mean they don't clinically have to do an intervention, but you could be trending upward for years. And I have tons of clients who've had type 2 diabetes for 7 years. Nobody ever told them. Had no idea. I was the very first person to tell them they had type 2 diabetes because they never took a look at their labs, and the doctor said, oh, you're okay, you're just a little high. And so with that said, the little high means that you're not past 7, so I don't really have to do too much, there. guidelines wise. So definitely take a look at your own labs when it comes to your cholesterol, your A1C, looking at your inflammatory markers like your CRP if your doctor ran it, which is basically like a score of how much inflammation you have in your body. Look at your iron levels to see if things says, low or high, but let's look back a couple years. Just don't look at like, okay, this year I'm okay, but like you've been trending up a point every year for the past 5 years, because it takes type 2 diabetes 10 to 15 years to develop. So it takes a long time, but you can have prediabetes for years, which is your opportunity to start putting some things in place to reverse it. So always look at your own labs and just don't trust like everything's good. Like, no, it's not. It could be. Yeah, because having that conversation with people that they have type 2 diabetes, I mean, we pretty much fighting. They're like, no, I don't.
No, I don't. Don't be
told me.
lying, man.
I'm like,
I'm done with you, man. You can't be lying to me, man.
You
Yeah.
good. Like, you have it. So, yeah. But yeah, that's what I encourage people to do, to look at the bigger picture.
So all this information that you're giving out, what's your cheat meal?
My cheat meal?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God. God, today my cheat meal. I had it yesterday, actually. I don't cheat because I ain't married to it.
There you go.
But
There you go.
my highlight splurge, like something I look forward to. I had a brownie. I love brownies. I love a good brownie. It was from Brahms too.
A brownie.
Right, exactly. She said a brownie. You had a brownie.
Yeah, from Brahms.
Nothing on it.
Well, they have the brownie sundae, but I'm lactose intolerant. So I told him to give me a brownie sundae without the sundae. So I told him to give me a brownie sundae with no ice cream, no whipped cream, but just give me the syrup and the cherry on top. But that was so good. Oh, and French fries. Oh, I love a good French fry.
So you had brownie and French fries
Sure did.
together.
Indeed. Wow. I didn't finish all the fries because I'm like, I'd rather.
I'm just thinking about the combination at that point.
Oh, yeah. Definitely inflammatory. 100%.
Notice she did not eat all of her food, though.
I didn't. No, I just want a taste of the fries because that's sweet and salty.
But you ate the whole brownie.
Absolutely. That's what I
So
was
then
looking
she
for.
ate it.
But I kind of knew I couldn't have both. So I was like, I want
discipline, ma'am. The discipline to not eat all the
no.
fries.
I got a single.
Them fries would have made it for me.
The single, because they have like a double scoop brownie where they give you the bigger brownie. I had that little kid size one, but that's all I needed.
What?
So she's sitting there with a full-on kids meal.
I did.
There's nothing wrong with that though. I've learned this. We just went. I can't remember where we went, but we got an adult version, and me and my wife looked at each other. We was like, "Listen, we need to get the kid version now."
She's right, because when you look at the macros and the calories for kids meal, it's actually the right amount of that's for an adult.
An adult, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And so the kids should get half the portion of it. Whenever you look, I am amazed by when I see the kids meal come out. I'm like, what kid is eating that? But,
Yeah.
yeah. No, she's right. Absolutely. But yeah, that is my cheat meal. I like a good brownie and a good French fry. And in crawfish season, I have crawfish whenever it's crawfish season on a regular basis. But I mean,
I don't, I like crawfish. But so I like crawfish because we're not gonna deal with this slander over here.
No, we're not.
Yes, but I think crawfish is good.
It's delicious.
But I think my problem is it's too small and it takes too much work to get it.
I hear that a lot. Well, the smallest depends on the season.
True.
So, and when I tell you I'm obsessed with crawfish, I am part of so many different crawfish groups.
Mm-hmm.
They do predictions on how big the crawfish are. So I already think ahead, like, okay, this is gonna be a good season.
It's been a couple of crawfish that we've found out here.
Yeah. It's like if it's dirt and water.
Yeah.
Mud bugs.
Mud bugs, absolutely.
Absolutely. But no, crawfish is real. It's so real.
You suck the head out?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I don't do that. Mm-mm.
I tried it once. It just wasn't my thing.
But and taking too much time, that's actually the fun part for me. Because
Right.
you're working with your hands.
It's
but
very social. It's a
very
social thing.
And that's why I love it. I don't sit alone and eat crawfish. That's boring.
Yeah.
But I like to have it with community. So I
Yeah.
always invite someone to go eat crawfish with me because I already know the best crawfish spots. And I'm a great crawfish boiler. So I have my own crawfish.
Really?
Oh yeah, I am the
Where you
best. Louisiana.
Okay, well,
So
there you go.
I have the industrial size crawfish boiler that boils 400 pounds. So it's a whole thing. But anywho,
Just
but
boiling
Wait, what
bugs.
part of Louisiana you
I'm
from?
from North Louisiana. So you know where Louisiana Tech is? Ruston, that's where I'm from.
My people are from Monroe.
Well, there we go. We're neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Shreveport.
Oh, see, yeah.
Didn't even know.
I was born in Shreveport.
You learn everything. You learn something new
There we
every
go. So
single
we was
time.
going down I-20.
Yeah,
Shreveport,
absolutely.
Reston, Monroe.
Monroe.
Yep, down
Yeah.
I-20.
Wow.
Yes. So no, I love a good mud bug, but that's pretty much how it rolls with me. Yeah.
Okay.
There's nothing off limits. Like I can't have it. I just whatever works for my body. If I don't feel a certain type of way after eating something, I'm not gonna do it. Like it's not worth it.
Got you. Got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, that was a great way to go ahead and put everything to a close. But before we go, Russ, I do want you to let everybody know how they can find you, give them all your socials, all that stuff.
All the socials. So if you're looking to work with me, I'm not sure what camera I'm looking at, looking to work with me or just need more insight, you can find me at russpowellnutrition.com. And so I'm sure they'll probably have in the show notes somewhere in the comments or some description. And on Instagram, I am the Balanced Blood Sugar RD. So just put in Balanced Blood Sugar and then I'll pop up. I'll be the first one to pop up. So that's how you can find me. And then I have my own podcast, which is on all the things, like Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, all the things, is Blood Sugar Unfiltered. So that's where you can get into the nitty gritty of behind the scenes things there. So
that's when she does all the cussing and all that. No, I'm just joking. I'm just messing with you.
It's not that bad.
no, it ain't that bad yet. No, but no, I don't get unhinged.
Yeah,
yet.
that's cool. That's cool. That's great. No, she don't be doing no cussing on that. So please,
No.
please don't take that. Just know that it was a joke. Outside of that, though, this has been super great. Remember to like, subscribe, share all this out. This is some great information that we have had today, and I want to make sure that everybody watching, your friends, your mothers, your cousins, your mothers especially, because they ain't make you eat those meals and slap you upside the head if you don't eat them. So you need all this information. So share it to them too. Remember, this is just not a Sunday walk. This is an everyday talk. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you all next time.
Yo.